Turns out state employees in one agency do practically nothing and still get paid.
Fox 5's Barbara Nevins-Taylor has been investigating.
We discovered that some people in state government actually are trying to save taxpayers' money, but they can't do it because state law and political interests make it impossible. Just take a look at this. The gatekeeper's job is lonely. There aren't many people coming his way. It's also lonely for the state employee who monitors comings and goings. There's almost nothing doing here. Yet these folks collect a full state paycheck, almost $90,000 a year with benefits, for a job at a juvenile detention center where there are no kids. How crazy do you think it is that people like you are working here and there really aren't any kids here?
Well, we just have to deal with what's given to us, right?
You might say he and 30 others at the sprawling center in the foothills of the Adirondacks are dealt a generous hand at taxpayer expense. Taxpayers shell out $3 million a year to keep Tryon Detention Center open, even though it's empty. And you can thank the legislature for that. New York State Executive Law 50115 requires the Office of Children and Family Services to give at least 12 months' notice before closing any facility. Frank Malagisi is Tryon's union rep. Doesn't it seem strange that it takes a year to shut down a facility like that because they have to give the union notice? Isn't that weird?
No, that's not weird. That's to look out for people's families, New York State taxpayers' families. You wouldn't want someone to come to you and say, guess what, you're out of a job tomorrow.
Quite different than private sector employees. And there's a serious question about how well these public servants do the job. Tryon was once a place that judges sent kids who committed crimes before they were 16. But in 2006, a teenager died here, and subsequent investigations found widespread mistreatment of young people by staffers at Tryon and other juvenile detention facilities in New York State. The U.S. Justice Department found staffers used excessive force routinely at 4 facilities, and reforms were ordered.
I inherited a system that has been a failure by any measure.
Commissioner Gladys Carrion, on board since 2008, began reforms that included closing 16 upstate centers and group homes, saving $58 million over a 2-year period.
The facilities really should be reserved for those children that are truly dangerous and need to be removed from their community because of public safety.
Local communities set up programs and took kids back. Now in the 25 state facilities, which are primarily upstate, there are only 661 juveniles. But because of union rules and state law, 2,134 employees watch over them. And incredibly, it comes down to a cost per kid of $228,000 a year in a secure facility and $298,000 a year in a non-secure facility. And yet, 88% of the kids who leave get in trouble again.
The quicker we can close these facilities that we don't need, that are underutilized, that are not good places for kids anyway, the more we would save the taxpayer.
Right now, taxpayers shell out $169 million to run these facilities. Half is paid by local governments, and New York City pays a big share, a share that city officials like Probation Commissioner Vincent Schiraldi want to cut.
Over the last 8 years, we've reduced the number of kids in state-run facilities by 62%, right? Almost 2/3. But the city's still going to pay $24 million more this year because the state keeps increasing the costs to pay for these staff that are watching no kids.
Schiraldi says the city can run its own juvenile justice program.
What we would do is we would set up a system that had a continuum of programs ranging from really secure facilities to non-secure programs for kids in their own homes.
When you look at the facts, secure facilities at less than 65% of capacity, non-secure 64% empty, and the track record of staffers, common sense might suggest big changes.
I think I could save a lot more money if I have the discretion to close facilities when we don't need them anymore.
But Commissioner Carrion's efforts make her a punching bag for union officials.
Our belief is that this issue has not been adequately debated. The way the Gladys Carrion has moved forward with it, it's simply been reckless and irresponsible.
Upstate legislators are with the unions.
This is 130 jobs. They're relatively speaking, high-paying jobs for this area.
Mark Butler is the assemblyman who represents Fulton County and the small towns where jobs are hard to come by.
with this closure is a change in philosophy for the Office of Children and Family Services.
So what's wrong with that?
There is not a problem with that, but I think it's a process that the legislature ought to have engaged in.
He and others, like Senator William Larkin, who represents parts of Orange and Ulster counties where there are also juvenile prisons, seem to want to make juvenile justice policy that protects the jobs of the workers. So these facilities are really about employment opportunities. Is that what you're saying?
A good percentage of it is.
Do you think the state should support jobs in communities like this?
Well, that's
Isn't
good.
It kind of welfare?
Well, it's a good question. We are in a position in this state where I do believe all options ought to be put on the table.
One option is saving money. Again, New York City's probation commissioner.
The state needs to send the kids and the money back to counties and the city so we can handle the young people in our own communities in our own way.
But that infuriates the legislators, especially because the Justice Department lawsuit required hiring 170 additional mental health workers.
We've lost 130 and New York City's gained 170. So the net effect for our community there, I think, is bad.
Are we just going to throw them into New York to improve this employment in New York City? Or are we going to put them someplace where we can maybe correct them from their habits and move them on in society?
And what about saving money?
The taxpayer shouldn't be stuck for something that's not working.
So you agree that these should be closed?
I agree.
And the jobs get lost?
But the jobs, not all of them will be lost because somehow or somewhere you're going to have these people who are going to be the trainers, the security, the cooks and the bottle washers and everything else.
And the big problem there, the deal with the union. The department cannot move employees from where they work to other counties, so big changes are needed for reform. And the question is, will the legislators and the incoming governor have the stomach to make these money-saving changes?
Yeah, it's
Darian,
a big problem, as you've pointed out. Now, Barbara, the question is, are the unions going to cooperate?
What a good question. The unions are fighting for these jobs. So far, they don't see the need to change.
All right, and Barbara, do the gubernatorial candidates, specifically Cuomo and Palladino, know about this problem? If so, what would they do to change them?
We have called Mr. Palladino, we have called Mr. Cuomo, and we are waiting for answers. So as soon as we know, you will know, and so will the folks at home.
You've done a lot of investigative work. One of the worst you've seen?
This is bad. This is egregious. I think it's outrageous. That's the way it's being described by the people who want to change the system. It is outrageous.
The ratio is incredible.
It is. Can you imagine having that many teachers in the school system for your kids?
That would be lovely.
Barbara Nevins-Taylor, thank you for that report. And by the way, you can see much more of Barbara's reporting online, including her series called Sentence to Pay, where Barbara exposes tens of millions of your tax dollars going to New York State correctional facilities with fewer and fewer prisoners. Just go to myfoxny.com, click on the Investigations tab.
Get myfoxny.com on your iPhone free at the App Store and stay connected.